Video number 15, pitcher fatigue. So in the last couple of videos we have gone through pitcher stamina and what happens when a pitcher is in a fresh state, and also if he's got a shutout going and he's reached his stamina limit. Now what happens after the stamina limit has been reached? So we talked about Dennis Martinez, his stamina limit is 31. Sanderson when starting is 24, and Jose Meza is a 6 in relief. What happens on the next batter? So we have what we call 3 levels of fatigue. We have a fading pitcher, we have a tired pitcher, and we have an exhausted pitcher. Fading is the first level of fatigue. For a starting pitcher, he's going to have 3 batters in that stage. Then he'll reach a tired state. We'll have 3 batters in that stage again, sorry. So he's 4th from his 6th batter after he's gone past his stamina. And then from the 7th on, he'll be considered exhausted. A relief pitcher is exactly the same. He's got those 3 different levels of fatigue, but he's got 2 batters in the fading state, and then he becomes tired for 2 batters, and then the 5th batter is exhausted. So as you go from fading to tired to exhausted, it becomes more and more likely that you are going to give up some extra hits or walks, etc. I showed on the last video the 3 boxes. So that one there has got all our stages of tiredness there, or exhausted, tired, fading. I'll try and find some others here with this one here has got exhausted and tired, and this one here has got just exhausted. So we're going to look into that a lot closer in a minute. When you're in the pitch situation, there's obviously walks and strikeouts that can happen. Here's some results that a strikeout comes up. So in the black is the strikeout result. And there's 3 different scenarios here. Now, for most people, they're not going to be in an exhausted or a fatigued situation when they're pitching. But if they are, whenever a red reading comes up here on the pitch, straight away you know, hey, there's probably going to be some sort of fatigue going on. So if you're in a fatigue state, you need to read and see if that fatigue state that you're in comes up on the card. So if Martinez is exhausted, he's not going to strike that batter out. The ball's going to be in play. Okay, so if he was fading, tired or exhausted, any of the 3 fatigue states, he's not going to strike that batter out. The ball's going to be in play. Normally a strikeout, but if he's tired or exhausted, the ball's going to be in play. Okay, so it just basically takes away strikeouts there and puts the ball into play. Same thing over here, but instead of seeing, yes, we got the ball in play in the black, so the black is the normal in play. But if you're in a state of fatigue, you need to check if your state of fatigue is there. If it is, there's an opportunity there for you to walk the batter. Now, it's not a direct walk straight away. It's still got to go versus the pitcher's control and the patience to see if the walk actually happens. But there's an opportunity there for the fatigue man to give it up. So if you're fading, tired, exhausted, you got a chance to give up a walk 13. Now, obviously, walk 13s are not going to walk too many people. That's a pretty high rating. If you're tired or exhausted, you got a chance to give up a walk 7. Now that's a big possibility. If you're fading, doesn't matter, it's in play. If you're tired or exhausted, you may give it up. If you don't, it's in play. But if you do, it's a walk straight away. And over here, if you're exhausted, if Martinez was exhausted, a walk 2, most people are going to walk there. So the more down the track you go, from fading to tired, exhausted, the easier it is to give up base runners. If the ball is in play, just on a normal card, and I'll try and get one where it is. Here we go. We've got base on balls, ball in play. Now generally when you go from a ball in play, you go straight down here to the ball in play section. But when you're under fatigue, there's another step. So before you go to the ball in play section, you on this card go down to the stamina section. And then you see if your level of stamina is in the boxes. If it is, you would have to look at this rating down here and see if there is going to be some sort of hit happening. Now it doesn't always happen. They are conditional checks, like a 21 and 30 single. That's a high adjusted batting rating, isn't it? So that may not happen, but there's more opportunities for hits this way. So in a fatigue state, in play, you skip the ball in play, you come down and check the stamina, and you get the result. If that stamina result doesn't happen, that's not the end of the at-bat. Okay? You would then flip another card, and then you would look at the ball in play to see if that happens. So what it's basically doing is giving you a second chance to get hit because you're fatigued. Now you may not get hit under the stamina section, but you may well get hit under the ball in play with the next card. So you basically got a second chance as a batter to get a hit versus a fatigued pitcher. If we look at some of these ratings, as before, if you're fading, you're obviously, if you're fading, tired or exhausted on this card, you have a possible double. But if you're a home field advantage, no matter if you get a double or not, you get a single straight away. So if you're a away team, you'd have a chance at a double there. But if you didn't get it, it'd be ball in play. But if you didn't get a double as the home team, you get a single straight away, rather than having to go to the ball in play check. If you go to the ball in play check, the next card might be, for instance, ground ball, and it costs the pitcher no extra. But it is risky to continue to have your pitchers pitching in a fatigued state. As a fading pitcher, it's not as bad as a tired pitcher. It's not as bad as an exhausted pitcher. This case here, if the pitcher's exhausted only, a fading pitcher and a tired pitcher, they escape that. But even the exhausted pitcher is a possible lefty-righty double. So the matchup would have to be right, and then you'd roll against the double. If that didn't happen, again, you'd look at the ball in play. You flip a card and look at the ball in play. Now I'm going to go through what we call the risk catch on another little video, because there's a chance for the fielding team to take a risk to make a fairly good catch that would mean that the exhausted pitcher gets saved by some great fielding. But there are risks to that, obviously. But I'll have another little video about that. So basically, when you get one of these things, you just basically have a look at the different things down here. There is an exclamation mark, so there's possibly a wild pitch first, and then if you're 9 to 30, there's a single. So it can get really bad really quickly if you get some results that are not good. Lefty-righty check. If it's in your favour, there's a power check. That could be a dinger. 16 to 30 on the batting. 2 to 30 on the single. That's definitely going to be a single. And then after that, exclamation point. So you might have a single and a wild pitch. All because the pitcher's in fatigue. So again, you need to look and make sure your pitcher's rate of fatigue is in the box. If it is, take this rating. If it's not in the box, flip another card, look at the ball in play. The ball in play is obviously going to be the normal amount for the batter. He'll hit at his normal amount. This is just a bonus for the batter because the pitcher is fatiguing. Why would you leave a pitcher in fatigue for a long time? Maybe he's going for a shutout. He's at his bonus. He's fading away. Maybe he's just getting hit around anyway, or you've got a huge lead. Whatever the situation, you do probably want to use the fatigue system a little bit. Obviously, it balances out the fresh system that we talked about. So, say you get some 20 to 25% of your base hits taken away because the pitcher was fresh. You want to go into fatigue a little bit so that they would give those back. It's not going to be perfect, but it is a little bit of it adds some variety to the game. Now, there's a couple of different varieties, obviously, of these sort of things. There's the normal hits. Now, there's the wrist catch that I talked about. So I will talk about that in another video briefly. There's some different things that can happen, like the pitcher-hitter experience check. You would check the ages of the two players. So if the pitcher is a veteran, he might be older than the hitter. So he gets out of that fatigue situation and gets a fly ball. But if the hitter is more experienced than the pitcher, he's older than him, he would have a power check. So there's a little thing to add some variety onto there. We have, obviously we talked about the home field advantage, a double check. If that fails, if they're a home team, it's a single. If they're away team, it would be ball in play. And the power speed jump roll. Okay, so that basically means that you are checking first if the batter hits a home run. If he doesn't hit a home run, then you're going to check his jump rating to see if he gets a speed single or an infield single. If he doesn't get either of those, then you would flip again and get the ball in play. So there's a couple of different scenarios that may happen. Most of them are going to be related to singles or power or doubles, etc. like that. And there are some chances to get out of that for the fielding team with some risky catches, which we'll go through in a second. The way that it works for these boxes here, and I'll see if I can find a fresh one while we're at it. So with these two cards combined here, we've got all the results that can be in those boxes. So we've got fresh, we got exhausted, we can get tired and fading. If a fresh comes up, there's going to be no fatigue there. So a fresh, there's 200 cards in the deck. A fresh will come up 50 times. Fading will come up 50 times. Tired will come up another 50 times. So, and then exhausted will come up another 50 times. So when you look at it like that, fading is going to come up 50 times. Tired's going to come up 100 times. And exhausted are going to come up 150 times. So the more you are fatigued, the more chance you are to give up extra hits, extra base runners. So 25% chance when you flip a card over on the stamina section to have a fading pitcher affected, 50% chance to have a tired pitcher affected, and 75% chance to have an exhausted pitcher affected. So if you keep going in fatigue, every batter's going to have a chance to get extra shots. So if you go like 7 batters into fatigue, that's 6 batters that have a second chance in a row. Obviously, that's going to wield some hits. So you only want to go that deep into fatigue occasionally. In this case, I would probably go a couple of batters fading unless they're in a shutout situation, or you're getting pumped, or you've got a huge lead, etc. like that. So it's a little bit difficult sometimes to understand. Once you get the hang of it, it's all good. So you basically have the result. Is he tired or exhausted? Say he is, but he walks. If he's fading or the base on balls check didn't work out under fatigue, you go to in play. But the in play under fatigue, you come down to the stamina rating and you see if they're in there. So say he's fading, then you would have a look at and have a power speed jump roll. If that doesn't work out for either of those rolls, you come across and you go to the ball in play to get the result. So it's basically a second chance mechanism. It's a little bit hard to understand. Once you flow through that a few times, you'll be good. So that's a hard one, so if there's any questions, let me know. Other than that, give it a go. It's obviously something that if you don't want to play fatigue rules, you don't have to. The cards are rated to be without these rules. The fresh and the fatigue sort of balance each other out a little bit. It's not perfect. It's going to affect the percentages a little bit. But obviously, if you want variety in your game, you want more real-to-life action, where a pitcher's like getting tired, he's fading away. You can see the sweat pouring down his face. He's under a bit of duress out there. I guess this is the best system to do that. I use that for all my games. But either way, it's totally up to you how you want to play it.